Hello, and welcome to episode 43 of Keep Blooming. I'm your host, Liz Montigny. In today's episode, I get to speak with Dominique Tomaino. She is one of the creators of Friends of the Faith, an online shop of biblically inspired apparel and lovable plush pals and more. Dominique is a Catholic wife, mother, lawyer, and new business owner. In Dominique's story, you'll hear how she's building her new business alongside a friend and God. Plus, she's doing this all with a family and a 9-to-5 job. So let's get growing and keep blooming. Tired of overthinking your next step? Do you want simple steps to level up your mind, body, and spirit? Or maybe you need some inspiration to reach your goal? Then you've tuned into the right podcast. This is Keep Blooming, and I'm your host, Liz Montigny. Each week, I'll encourage you to drop the hustle mentality for hope and act on the dreams God has put on your heart. Like you, I'm doing all the things as a Catholic, a wife, a mom to 3 boys, and a licensed Ziegler coach. So let's get growing and keep blooming. Hello, welcome to the Keep Blooming podcast. I am Liz Montigny, and my guest today is Dominique Tomaino, and I can't wait to talk to her about her cute little shop called, Friends of the Faith. And Dominique is a Catholic wife, a mom, a lawyer, and now a new business owner of this shop. She began Friends of the Faith offering merchandise based on biblical inspiration. It's so adorable. You have to check it out. And she loves learning more about her faith and helping to inspire others. Dominique, did I miss something there?
I think that sums it up great.
Okay, very good. All right. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you know I like to root our conversations in the truth, and I like to do that with a little Lectio Divina. And Dominique, you picked one of my all-time favorites and something that I've been sitting with this year, and that is Psalm 46. I'm going to read verses 10, 11, and 12. Who stops wars to the ends of the earth, breaks the bow, splinters the spear, and burns the shields with fire? Be still and know that I am God. I am exalted among the nations, exalted on the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. Our stronghold is the God of Jacob. Well, I love this because obviously so many of us know that one line of be still and know that I am God, but a lot of us don't know the previous verse, which is basically like, I can, end wars in a second, and a lot of the times we think of that line and we think be still and know is like, we're walking through a field of daisies or something.
Totally.
But I love how it's really talking about I'm there in those times of big challenge and trial.
Yes. Oh gosh. That's so, I haven't looked at that context before either, really, which is crazy because I also love this verse, but it makes it even more powerful when you think of it that way.
Absolutely. I agree. So we'll come back to that at the end of our conversation. But Dominique, tell me, so this beautiful little shop you have, what is going on there, and how did you go from lawyer to the shop?
It's a roundabout story. I'll make it short for you. In the last year, I've kind of had a huge life overhaul. I went from litigation lawyer living in California to in-house counsel for a pro-life nonprofit in Texas. uh, which has been wonderful. It's been a wonderful life change. But when I was moving to Texas, another friend of mine from California also moved out to Texas. And so her and I have gotten very close. We're like family now that we moved from the same area to a new state together. We do all our holidays together. Our kids are the same age. It's been wonderful. So we were talking in March. It was early March of this year. We were talking about Easter and planning, who was going to host and what we were going to do and what was going to be in the kids' Easter baskets. And we were talking about, like, wouldn't it be great if we had more toys for our kids that we could teach them about the Bible with? And so I mentioned offhand, like a way long time ago, my mom tried to start a toy business. It didn't quite work out. And I was like, we should do that. Just as a thing you say. And I go off to church and I've got like mass, and then we've got, I did a small group after, and I come back to my phone afterwards, and she's like sent me a whole list of her ideas and what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do the dolls. Like,
Wow.
and she was like, and I want to launch by Easter. And I'm like, it's a month away. There's no way. There's no way. I'm like, and this is not our backgrounds. She does like consulting for accounting. I should know by now what she does, but I don't. I'm a lawyer. Like, this is not our field, like manufacturing dolls and starting a business, faith-based business at that. And we both also, I guess, a little bit of that background too. We've been listening to Father Mike's Bible in a Year together this year. So our friendship has kind of been rooted in studying the Bible, and like we wanted to find a way to spread that to our kids as well. So yeah, I insisted for a good week and a half that this wasn't going to happen. And she pressed on, and somehow it did. We got, yeah, all sorts of things, but our last thing was like trying to get someone to help us manufacture these dolls, and everything was wrong price, couldn't turn around in time. I had one last ditch effort to calling this one company in Chicago, and then they had everything we needed, and it all lined it up perfectly. They could turn around quick, that it was the price we needed. They could do a small batch because we didn't, it's all our own money, and we didn't have a ton to pour into this random new side project. But it just all fell together. So it's like, okay, God, if you're going to put it all together, we're going to figure it out. And that's just what we've done. And it's built into this beautiful project. I adore it. I love the dolls. I love coming out with new dolls based on new Bible characters and getting to share that with my kids. I mean, it's been amazing. At bedtime, they'll be like, tell me about, one of our dolls is Hannah, and they'll be like, tell me about Hannah's story. That's special to me for a lot of reasons, but it's just been so beautiful in my relationship with them, which is number one to me. And then we also added on like home goods and clothes. So now, and we say we're our number one customers. I have all these like sweatshirts with Bible inspiration on them, and I love it. Like, it would be amazing. I hope this business takes off because I really believe in it and I want to share it with the world. But just what it's done for myself and my family has been amazing. So I'm enjoying it. It's been a ride.
Wow, it certainly has. So I wanna ask you a few things there. Like, I heard about you know, making just going out and stepping out in faith and like, hey, let's give this a shot. And God at the last minute comes through with making a way. That is so awesome. I love how doing a Bible study really kind of, inspired this. And I love hearing about how this is bringing you as a family closer together. So tell me, is this this shop that you've created, is this something that is like a side thing?
Yeah, it's definitely, we both got our full-time jobs. And then we come home and work late into the night on this. I mean, we've taught ourselves everything, the social media, building our own website, all of it. So I mean, yeah, it's up into the middle of the night trying to learn. I'm probably spending full-time hours on this too, but
Yeah.
but yeah, still have a full-time job too.
And a family and two
And a
children, right?
family.
And a
Yeah.
husband. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
And in the shop you have, it looks like you have dolls and apparel and all sorts of cute stuff. I like the different themes that you have. Is that something that you and your friend are also designing together, or did you shop that out, or how'd that work?
Yeah, we make all the designs ourselves. On the designs for the dolls themselves, we get a little bit of help, but everything else it is us. So what we do is for each Bible character, we basically create a collection around them. And like some word that kind of fits into their character. It's always hard to fit one. Like with Mary, we're like, what is the one word we pick? And we picked trust because she trusted so greatly in God. And so we have a whole collection designed around her, and we design a little logo for the collection and like the sayings and what apparel or home goods we think goes with it. It's been fantastic. It's
I love that.
wonderful, but
It
a lot of
is.
work.
Absolutely. But you're smiling and you're laughing, and that's a really good sign. Tell me how listening to Bible in a year, kind of brought this inspiration to you. What was it about diving into scripture that maybe helped, was the catalyst for this?
Yeah, listening to Bible in a year has like changed my life. This is actually like my kind of second year. I kind of only got halfway through last year and then started over again this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Just diving deeper into the Bible and learning more about Bible stories. Through my life, I've heard little bits and pieces. I've never actually read the Bible cover to cover before. And you hear parts in church and here and there, but you don't, unless you sit down and actually study the Bible, which I really should have done before. But you don't get the full context. So listening to the whole Bible in its full context really brings it to life to you. And it made me want to live out that inspiration more in my daily life as well.
I don't think you're alone in that. I think there is this stereotype that Catholics don't read their Bible so much. However, there all the Bible studies I can think of that are so rich are Catholic based. But and I, like you, I would maybe pick it up and like read a psalm or a verse here and there, but it wasn't something I dedicated time to. Our own parish decided we were going to have a Bible study, and I really found that life changing as well, just in my prayer life, and also just appreciating the richness of our faith, and just like, wow, look at, it's all right here. And so it's definitely something that I knew when I was decided to launch this podcast last fall that I wanted to incorporate. And it's also, Lectio Divina is also something I incorporate into my coaching. So I think that's really beautiful that you dove into the word, and then all of a sudden, here's this Friends of the Faith comes out of it, this little shop, not so little shop actually. So you mentioned, each little collection has a theme. In Mary's trust, and that's so beautiful. And you mentioned earlier your favorite story is Hannah. Would you mind sharing why?
So a little background of me. I have been married for 12 years. My husband and I have never conceived. We have our two beautiful children through adoption. And so Hannah's story is, she prayed for a child for many years. And so that always hit very home with me. And then also just that when you get into like the real meat of her story, where she's, praying in the temple, pouring out her heart in tears, so much so that the temple priest thought she was drunk, which is a humorous part of the story. But just so thinking of her faith and the way she poured out her heart fully to God, and that he did answer her prayer in his time was just so beautiful. There's so many aspects of her story that are just so touching to me. And I also volunteer as a mentor with it's a ministry called the Fruitful Hollow. It's an infertility ministry, and they have mentors who have been through infertility for a long time. And the mentor program is called Sisters of Hannah as well. So kind of touched on a lot of different parts of this story.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And so you always hear God always, makes good come out of our struggles and our crosses. And it certainly sounds as that has happened with this. You're building your relationship with your children through scripture, and they're, cuddling their dolls and want to know all the stories. And at the same time, I imagine that women who maybe have gone what you've been through are appreciating what you're bringing to your shop.
Definitely hope it yeah is helpful to other people as well.
Between you and your partner on this shop, it's like you're a lawyer, she's an accountant, and then you're doing this adorable shop based on faith. How has, that traditional 9 to 5, how has that helped you with the shop?
I mean, I definitely have to try to get organized. I have to be very efficient in my daily job to make sure I get everything done and do everything I'm supposed to and work efficiently. And then so I can devote my resources to helping this shop in my after hours and also fit in family time for my kids. There's a lot going on. But it does help get organized. And I think also, having experience in different businesses and kinds of business backgrounds. I've worked from like very tiny firms to now this organization is a bit bigger. So just seeing different businesses and how they're run and helps me see how to start a new little business.
For you and your friend, I mean, this all just sounds like did you ever think you were going to be doing something like this? Was this
Yeah, I never in a million years. It was kind of always like business and entrepreneurial stuff was for other people and not for me. I was a 9 to 5 kind of person, like office job, steady,
Mhm.
easy, like not easy. It's not easy at all, but
Yeah.
steady, organized. Someone else is in charge of the whole thing. And I just never thought this kind of entrepreneurial thing was for me. Yeah. And then when we dove right in, man, it has been something else. But it's been good too to know that like you can do it.
Mhm.
There's for every idea I've had in the past, there's always been a excuse or a reason why I can't do it. I'm not the person for that. I'm just not that type of person who goes out there and makes these big leaps of faith. And then in the last year, that's pretty much all I've been doing.
The difference this time around is what I'm hearing is that number one, it's like you had a partner to do
Oh
this with.
yes, yeah.
That was huge. Number two, you made the choice like, hey, why not? I have all the skills and knowledge from other areas of my life. We could figure this out. Plus, as you say, you have that big faith component to it. God's involved with this one. So if he wants to make a way, he will, which is certainly what it sounds like has happened with the shop. When you talk about entrepreneur and, you know, getting into your own business, what is maybe a myth that you thought about being a business owner? You've discovered, hey, it's really not the case, or is there something particularly challenging that you weren't expecting?
I think the biggest myth was that it was always for other people and not for me. Like you had to be this big risk taker with a lot of money and capital to start anything. And the
Mm,
thing I've learned is that with, yeah, encouragement from a friend and also God's help, definitely number one. I would not have done this without it being for God's glory and him opening up the path because otherwise, I mean, I said no all the way, but um, with that and determination, you can make anything happen within reason, I suppose, but you can really, it just takes a lot of determination and hard work. And we made it happen with, very little knowledge about the subject matter and a very, very small budget.
right, right. You had that faith and hope and grit. That you're
Yeah.
gonna. Where are you hoping to take this? Are you at this time just in the moment, being present with it, and just it's a project right now, or what are some plans for the future with the shop?
Yeah, I would definitely love to grow it. I mean, we are putting our hearts into it and doing everything we can to grow it. Because I do think, going back to a little bit about what you said about a myth or
Yeah.
about Catholics, is that we don't read the Bible, which isn't true. Every mass we read from the Bible 3 times. But I do think there is a bit there where, and again, though, Father Mike's Bible in a Year and all the great Bible resources throughout time have come from our church. But I do think for Catholics, sometimes it can be harder to get really, into the study of scripture. It can just be so hard in your day-to-day life, like finding the time and making it real to yourself. And so what I really would love to do with this business is to grow it, if it would help others grow in their faith and knowledge of the Bible, and really have it come alive to them and their families and their kids. So I would love to, and expand to more. We have a list a mile long of more Bible characters we want to do, but it's like it takes selling to reinvest back into the business. So we're
Sure,
just
sure.
waiting to see, get the sales to where we can develop another thing. And I mean, I have so many dreams of where I'd love to take it, but again, it's all in God's hands, what he wants to do with it, what he wants to make of it. And I just kind of have to surrender that to him.
Which is not always easy, but it's very obvious through your story that he's been making a way. So that's amazing to see. You've talked a lot about how this business has helped your relationships, especially with your children. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, is it that you're looking at your faith together, or is there something else there?
Yeah, definitely giving us something to look at our faith together and talk about it more. Kids learn so much through play. So it's one thing to read a story to them, but it's another thing to bring it to life with a little character. Like my favorite one to play with, we have like a Daniel and the Lion set. And my son, he's 4, he absolutely adores it because you can like play with the lion and have Daniel going, and it's so fun and interactive, and it really gets my kids into the story where they wouldn't be like reading a book. As much as I can make funny sounds and like try to make it come to life, it's just not the same as having a toy that they can play and really get into the story with, or something they can hold. Or when I'm talking to them at night and telling them about Jesus and how much he loves them, then I can be like, and it's like your doll that says Jesus, love like Jesus. And they cuddle him close, and it brings them close to their heart. Or, which I didn't even realize, my friend did a lot of the designing on it. And then we were in church one Sunday, and my son looks at the Mary doll, and he looks up at the Mary statue in our church, and he's like, Mommy, they're the same. And they match so closely. And so now he's paying attention more in church. It's just wonderful. And it sparks so many discussions with them. And we've recently started like making this activity book series. And so I tested it out on my kids. They're our product testers, toughest customers. But so I had them play with the books and see what they liked. And my son, he's so cute. He goes, Mama, I can spell Jesus. It's Jesus. He goes, I'm
Oh,
4 now, and my brain knows how to spell things. I'm like, you're the cutest.
that is adorable. Oh, that's so beautiful when you witness those connections being made, and then just seeing our faith through the eyes of a child is always just so endearing, and they often teach us, right? They often
Yeah,
teach us
so
a
much.
lot of things. Well, before I ask you some more about the shop and like, how we can get over there and get all the goodies, I just want to visit our Lectio Divina one more time. And that is Psalm 46. And I'm reading verses 10 through 12. Who stops wars to the ends of the earth, breaks the bow, splinters the spear, and burns the shield with fire? Be still and know that I am God. I am exalted among the nations, exalted on the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. Our stronghold is the God of Jacob. Well, through your story, Dominique, I've just heard how God just makes a way. If it's for his glory and it's where he wants you to be, you can't stop it, right?
So
And
true.
so I love how you're have a huge amount of trust and surrender in this, because even when in the beginning of your story, when you kept running up against manufacturing, like who's going to make this? And you kept looking and looking, and then lo and behold, the last one, and everything went boom, boom, boom. I
Yeah.
love that. And I also love hearing how, yeah, this is hard work, because yeah, you do have a 9 to 5 and you have a family, but this is important too. And so I love hearing how you're just acknowledging that. And that means, you really have to be disciplined with your time, and
Yeah.
how, being a lawyer, I'm sure has really helped you in that area, I would think. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, and also just the accompaniment you have with your friends. I think so many of us long to have that accompaniment in our life, and how cool is that you got to do this with a friend. So
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's funny. I just keep thinking about what you're saying about having the encouragement of another friend going through it too. And we were going through Ecclesiastes not so long ago in Bible in a Year. And there was one verse that stuck out to me, this Ecclesiastes 4:9, and it was two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. And I texted her, I was like, that should be our like motto for the business, because it's always when one of us gets discouraged, the other one's like, we can do this. And it's always going back and forth, which is wonderful. But and rooted in God and what we're doing this for, in God's glory, which comes back to the psalm you were just reading, because I think about like the ending where God is exalted.
yeah,
It's like God will fight this battle for you and you just have to be still, but it's because the battle is for his glory. And I just that hit me listening to you read it. And I
yeah.
think too, it's, oh gosh, like I can get so wrapped up and I'm like, I need to figure a way out to do this. I like have to work, I have to do it myself, I have to do everything. And my husband will be like, go to bed. Like if this is God's will for you, he'll take care of it. You need to rest. And so I come back to that verse all the time. It's like, if this is the battle he wants to fight, like I can be still with him and get some
Mm.
rest so I can keep going.
I
And
love that your husband reminds you of that. What does he think of all this? Is he's just like, yeah, sure.
oh, he's so supportive. He's so
Good.
sweet. He's great. Like when I first came up with the idea, I was like, so we were talking about doing this. Would you mind if we put some of our budget aside for this? And he's like, how much are you talking? And I like gave him my number and he was like, oh, that was much less than I was thinking. And I'm like, well, now I know I could have asked for no. But I was, every step of the way, he's been super supportive, but he definitely is also my balance, because back in the litigation days, I would be working up all night for my job. I would be up till 2, 4, 6 all night for my job to get the work done that needed to be done for the clients.
Mm.
And my husband's like, well, now you're staying up all night, but at least it's for something you love. But he's always there to remind me, like, you need to get your rest and to take care of yourself. So he's my number one supporter for sure, but also my number one reminder that to keep going, I have to not burn myself out and always root myself. Again, if God wants it, he'll make a way, he'll make it happen. It's like no fighting can make something happen that he doesn't want to happen. And when he wants something to happen, he makes a way. So I just have to,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a constant battle to like trust and surrender that to God, but I work on it every day.
Oh, I hear you. I have the litany of trust on a loop. I have the surrender novena on a loop. So I totally can relate to what you're saying there. And Yeah, and that's so great that you had that open, conversation with your husband. And I remember a coach of mine had said at one point, as long as your husband's supportive, he doesn't have to understand what you're doing. But I was like, that's a good point, and I think we can be supportive without understanding every little thing. So
Oh my
that's funny.
gosh. Yes, that's last night. I was designing. I well, I was designing we want to do girls' dresses, and so hopefully those will be coming out very soon, if not already out. But
Yeah.
I was obsessed with these patterns I was creating, and I was like showing my husband. I'm like, look at how cute these like these girls' dresses are, and he was like, that's great, honey. Like he doesn't understand it, but he's very supportive.
So if we want to check all this out, where do we go? Tell us all the details.
Our website is at friendsofthefaith.com, and you can find all our wonderful, great things on there. Our plush pals, what we call the dolls, and then all our clothes. We've got mugs, drinkware, all sorts of fun stuff that are, yeah, again, designed around each Bible character. And I mentioned briefly, we've also started an activity book series based around each friend of the faith, and they are free downloads. So definitely check those out as well. Visit our website and at the very least get a free download to enjoy with your kids or any child who needs a good, enriching experience in the faith. We're also pretty active on Instagram. Love posting on there. So if you want to see what our day-to-day is like, you can visit us on there. We're Friends of the Faith Co.
Perfect. And this is all in the show notes, everybody. So be sure to go there and follow the links. And yes, you can get free downloads at Dominique's site. And this is still fairly new, this business. So I would definitely keep an eye on things, and I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of new things coming. So I'm excited for you, Dominique. I think this is just beautiful, and I love hearing your story and how this all came together. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. It's been great talking to you.
And to everyone, let's get growing and keep gluing. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Keep Blooming. Tune in every Wednesday for a dose of hope and encouragement. To be the first to know about my upcoming retreats and latest offerings, become an email subscriber at lizmontignycoaching.com. Have a wonderful week, and remember to keep blooming.